Just to let you all know, I'm trying a new mic setup, so feel free to let me know if it sucks and if it's worse than the last one.
Hi, I'm Wendy Traeger from We Are Fuse.
Hi, Wendy. I'm the Satiratician from the Satiratician.
I wanted to discuss today the concept of intersectional feminism.
A discussion sounds great. Far cry from a debate, and for undisclosed reasons I need to be on my best behaviour. So let's discuss this intersectional feminism.
And ramifications of not having that in the feminist movement.
I think the ramifications of not having the feminist movement, intersectional or otherwise, in the modern day world would be overwhelmingly positive. But please, put forward your poor attempt at... Wait, what? Wait, what? Oh, good behaviour, that's right. But please, put forward your well thought out and well constructed argument, my good unassumed gender identity friend.
I think our history shows that it was more like a trickle-down feminism of once the white woman achieved her equality that we would then help.
Oh, that's what you think history shows. I see. Do you have any kind of historical context to back you up on that? You see, as much as I trust the judgment of somebody who has a dream catcher in the background, I require hard proof. You see, the feminist movement as a whole properly started around 1848, and slavery didn't end until 1865. There's quite a disparity there, so yeah, it was predominantly, if not entirely, about the rights of white women with no intention of trickling down. Even if there was, black men would have been just as oppressed as black women.
Everyone else that was marginalized, and it has not worked, at least for the 30 years that I've been involved.
Oh, it hasn't worked for the 30 years that you've been involved? So I guess that precludes the other 129 years feminism predates your efforts. Is it just me, or is there a faint aroma of arrogance on the air?
I wanted to try to explain some of the areas where white feminists have trouble.
The problem with feminists, not even white feminists, just feminists in general have trouble with, is trouble they make for themselves. They resort to inventing pointless things to be offended by for the sake of being offended, so they can continue to feel useful, egged on by misandrists who are simply out to make men's lives more difficult.
Understanding it, and many times when explaining this concept, I hear the same things over and over again.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where there are so many ways you can refute the same tired feminist rhetoric before we ourselves sound like broken records. But the fact that it hasn't sunk in says more about you than the people you preach to.
Why don't I just stand? I suffer, I'm poor, I was raped.
And you say that dismissively? What kind of fucking monster are you? This also raises another point I brought up in a previous video, where only men are capable of carrying out the act of rape. And I remember reading a comment. I can't recall who it was by, but it said, "We anti-SJWs won't gain ground as long as all we do is debunk and never really go on the offensive. I'd like to assure him and you, wheels are in the motion as we speak to change that." But more details about that in a future video. Back to the issue of hand of debunking this potential sociopath.
I was abused, and all of these things happen to women.
Oh, just to women? Only to women? So women hold the monopoly on getting abused. Get fucked, you stupid damn What? Women are not the only people who can suffer abuse. I can see why you keep a spare head on that wall of yours in case you lose your first one up your ass.
There's no exclusivity to women in any ethnic social background.
No. There's no exclusivity to women, period.
Economic background, we're all subjected to some form or fashion of oppression.
Give us some examples. Your video information has no examples and neither do you. Here's a wild stab in the dark. There are no examples to give.
Where intersectional feminism comes in is where, on top of being women...
As if that's some kind of disadvantage in the West. Oh, God, I despair.
Women of color, indigenous women,
Come on, what other oppression can you make up on the spot? Impress us with your improv skills.
Disabled, trans women, anyone who identifies as female in certain groups are further subjected to additional oppression.
Oh, you mean all like those quotas that ensure that a certain amount of wheelchair people and fruity gendered identifying snowflakes over actually qualified people? Yeah, the oppression there must be overwhelming.
So even saying women make 78 cents on the dollar, that's a racist statement.
Actually, it's not a racist statement, it's a false statement. It's a big difference. I suggest you look up these words before you try and use them in a sentence.
It's a racist statement because that's a homogenization of the economic status of all women.
You know, I thought feminists were all for homogenization, or is that just between men and women? Turning women into men and turning men into snivelling little pals or something that were once male.
But what it doesn't say is that Latina women only make 55 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, motel maids don't get paid that much, I agree with you, but there's this thing called education. If you go through it, you might be a little more qualified than cleaning up after people that are richer than you.
So their road to equality is a much longer road.
And what about men in the same boat? No one bats an eyelid when Asians are the highest earning demographic, but no, all the fingers get pointed at the evil white patriarchy.
Now we can pass laws that say all women get paid a certain amount.
We can, and we have. Imagine that. I suggest you look these things up before making an ass of yourself on camera.
But it doesn't stop the oppression of racism, bigotry, and discrimination.
No, I disagree. There is always going to be some kind of disparity. You'll never have a perfect ratio of men, women, and all ethnicities. The road to achieving equality is far more important than the final equality, because you begin to give certain groups based on skin colour and gender advantages over their rivals. So rather than picking the best person for the job, you get a quota filled. It might leave equality disparity in some fields, but the jobs are being done to the best of their ability.
For certain parties and groups. I think how we achieve equality is as important as achieving equality.
You mean like affirmative action? Because they give a lot of help to black people.
And help is a very tricky word. If you're helping to make yourself feel better, that's not help.
What if a minority is going out of their way to help themselves, to improve their situation, to make themselves feel better? Checkmate.
If you're helping by empowering others who don't have a voice or a platform like you do, then that's helpful.
Sorry, darling, this platform isn't wheelchair accessible. And way to trigger every mute in the audience. God, you're all over the place. Are you sure you've been doing this for 30 years?
I think we need to find out. One of the steps you can do is to find out how someone can be helped.
Well, that's usually pretty clear. Unless it comes down to mental health issues, in which case it's less clear. Is it legitimate or is it self-diagnosed Tumblr disorder? So, lovely viewers, what would you do to help the disadvantaged in our society? Personally, I think tipping people out of wheelchairs so they can finally stand on their own 2 feet would be the way to go. I'll put the answers that make me laugh the most at the end of my next video, and as always, thank you for your time.